Greetings, football fans. In today's video, I have some exciting updates to share with you all, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with all the latest developments in the world of sports. Let's take a trip back to 2005, a pivotal year for the Dallas Cowboys. That was the year that really shifted the way the team approached roster construction. While the franchise made some big moves in the early part of this era, adding star power to the roster with high-profile signings, that period of aggressive acquisitions would ultimately fizzle out. After a series of promising draft selections, it became clear that the era of splurging on big-name players was coming to an end. The Cowboys' focus shifted, and while they brought in a prominent player the following season and continued to add pieces, the reality was that these moves failed to change the trajectory of the team. A lot of what the Cowboys had done was built around the draft, with their strategy heavily leaning on young talent. This was all being overseen by a key executive, but gradually, the intensity of their free agent signings slowed down, and the approach was tempered significantly. It's not that the team made any major mistakes. Sometimes moves just don't work out as planned. But there was one transaction, one trade, that in hindsight seemed to demotivate the locker room more than anything else. It wasn't a disastrous move on paper, but the ripple effect it caused was more profound than expected. A key takeaway from this period was that the power dynamic in the front office began to shift, with a new executive stepping into the spotlight. This individual, unlike the previous regime, wasn't keen on splurging money on star players. The shift was clear. Dallas was entering a new era, one that would focus less on big names and more on building the team through careful, calculated decisions. Fast forward to today, and it's interesting to look at the Cowboys' draft philosophy as they continue to mold the roster. The conversation has now turned to the upcoming draft, which is just around the corner. We've had time to reflect on the team's choices over the past couple of years, and one thing remains constant. There's always that one player who slips through the cracks, someone who, for reasons unknown, falls unexpectedly. Looking ahead to the 2024 draft, I had some players in mind for the Cowboys' potential picks: Jackson Powers-Johnson, Eden Cooper, Blake Fisher, and Jalen Wright. It would have been fun to see how these players could have fit in with the team. In fact, back then, I even considered a trade down, thinking it might give the Cowboys better opportunities to target the right talents at different points in the draft. If you look back at 2023, I went with Steve Avila and Zach Charbonnet, both of whom could have made a solid impact. I even had a bit of fun in that draft when I grabbed Overshow late in the process. As we know, the draft simulators don't always get things right, and sometimes they lead you to make some unexpected selections. For example, in 2023, I ended up with Puka Nacua on day 3. Imagine what that would have been like if it had actually happened. When it comes to quarterbacks, there's one name that still stands out: Tyler Bray. I remember him, but let's be honest, his performance wasn't exactly stellar. And speaking of quarterbacks, there's been a lot of buzz around Marion Hampton, with the draft simulators and local reporters offering differing opinions on his value. National analysts believe that the Cowboys need a running back, and they place Hampton somewhere in the top 25, but the local media, with their more intimate knowledge of the team, aren't convinced. I doubt the Cowboys will select Hampton at pick number 12. Sure, he was invited for a pre-draft visit, but it seems unlikely he'll be a first-round pick for Dallas. If he does fall down the board, a trade down could be a possibility, but for now, it doesn't seem like a move that's on the table. So, here's a question for you. Would you take Marion Hampton in the first round? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to cast your vote in the pinned poll. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Tyreek Williams, the defensive tackle from Ohio State. This guy really caught my attention because, let's face it, the Cowboys could really use a second nose guard, and Williams fits that need perfectly. He's a tough, strong player who excels at stopping the run. His ability to hold his ground against double teams makes him a great fit for the Cowboys' defense. In fact, I believe his potential is higher than what we've seen from Motzie Smith, who hasn't quite lived up to expectations. If Dallas were to pick Williams in the second round, it would be a solid choice for the team. I compare him to Jonathan Hankins. He's more agile, but he has that same power and presence on the field. Williams may not be the next great pass rusher like DJ Reader, But as a run stopper and a solid defensive tackle who won't be a liability against the pass, I'm all in on the idea of taking him. As we look at some of the other names being thrown around in the draft discussion for the Cowboys, let's talk about Quandarius Robinson, the edge rusher from Alabama. Alabama players don't tend to fly under the radar, and Robinson is no exception. He didn't see much action on the field, but when you dig deeper, you can see the potential. After reviewing my notes, I had him graded as a 5th-round prospect. The same grade goes for Taj Brooks, the running back from Texas Tech. These are solid third-day picks, and while they're not game-changers, they could provide depth to the roster. Jabbar Muhammad, the cornerback from Oregon, is another name to watch. His athletic testing wasn't particularly impressive, and his lack of agility raises some red flags. At his size, weighing in between 170 and 180 pounds, he's not the ideal cornerback the Cowboys are looking for, and his arms measuring under 30 inches only add to those concerns. Still, he could be a developmental prospect, likely a late-round pick, maybe even the 7th round. But if the Cowboys do decide to take him, it will be interesting to see how his skill set translates to the NFL. With spring finally here, the excitement of baseball season is in full swing. As the season gets underway, fans are starting to get more invested in the players they want to see in their fantasy lineups. Whether it's tracking home runs, RBIs, or runs scored in the first inning, there are plenty of ways to engage with the game and turn it into something more thrilling. With teams in over 30 states, including California, Georgia, and Texas, it's not just baseball that has fans on edge. Soccer season is also heating up. As teams begin to ramp up for the year, all eyes are on the players to see how they'll perform under pressure. For instance, Kelsey might see a decrease in opportunities due to Rashid Rice's rise, while Jaden Daniels' participation in the run game may not be ideal for his team's strategy. And lastly, we can't forget about Brashard Smith, the running back from Southern Methodist University. Smith is a 4th-round talent, though there are some off-field concerns that need to be addressed. He was suspended for part of the game against Stanford due to missing team meetings and classes, which raises questions about his commitment. However, he has shown flashes of brilliance in his ability to make big plays, both as a runner and as a receiver. When it comes to the possibility of trades, don't expect the Cowboys to go out and make a huge splash by acquiring a top-tier defensive player. The team isn't willing to invest more than $40 million in that area, especially when they already have big contracts tied up in other players. A veteran pass rusher isn't likely to be added to the mix either, as the Cowboys are more focused on long-term development. While there might be some excitement around potential trades, the reality is that any deal would have to make sense for the team's long-term goals. Now, as we delve deeper into the upcoming draft, there are some intriguing storylines unfolding around the Dallas Cowboys. This season, more than any other, is shaping up to be a defining moment for the team. The question everyone is asking is, how will they manage to build a roster capable of not just contending, but winning the ultimate prize? It's a question that hangs over the franchise like a cloud, but there's one thing that we know for sure. The Cowboys have been incredibly strategic in their approach to roster construction over the past few years. The emphasis on building through the draft remains a cornerstone of their philosophy. We all know that the success of an NFL team often hinges on the development of young talent. A well-executed draft can change the entire trajectory of a franchise, and that's exactly what the Cowboys are hoping to do this year. With the team sitting in a decent position to select some key pieces, the pressure is on for the front office to get this right. It's not just about finding the best available talent. It's about finding the right fit for the system, players who can seamlessly integrate into the Cowboys' existing structure. Take, for example, the situation at linebacker. The Cowboys have a strong defensive foundation, but they need to find someone who can be a difference maker. A player who not only has the physical tools, but also the mental acuity to thrive in Dan Quinn's system. It's clear that linebacker depth is crucial for this defense, especially when you consider the demanding nature of the NFL schedule. Injuries can derail a team's progress, and depth at the linebacker position is one way to guard against that. There are a number of promising prospects who could be available, and Dallas will need to carefully evaluate who is most likely to make an immediate impact. On the defensive line, there's a similar story. The Cowboys have been fortunate enough to have some dominant forces on the front seven, but their depth in this area could be improved. The team has been looking for a defensive tackle who can step up and make an immediate impact, and the 2024 draft presents some solid options. Whether it's adding another rotational piece or a potential starter, the importance of a strong defensive line cannot be overstated. A well-rounded defensive front is what separates the best teams from the rest, and the Cowboys will need to address this area with precision. As we shift to the offensive side of the ball, there are some glaring needs that will need to be addressed if the Cowboys are to keep pace with the NFC's elite teams. While the offensive line has seen improvements in recent years, depth continues to be an area of concern. Injuries along the line have often exposed the weaknesses in the Cowboys' offensive scheme, and that's something the team can't afford to ignore. With the rise of young quarterbacks across the league, protection for Dak Prescott is more important than ever. The Cowboys need to ensure that they continue to provide him with a solid front, one that can protect against the league's top pass rushers. The draft offers an opportunity to solidify that unit, whether it's through adding depth or finding a potential long-term starter. Then, there's the running back position. The Cowboys' reliance on the running game has been a hallmark of their offensive philosophy, and it's a philosophy they continue to build around. However, there's a looming question regarding how the team will approach the position in the draft. Will they go for a workhorse back who can carry the load, or will they opt for a complementary piece who can add a different dimension to the offense? The rise of younger, cheaper running backs is becoming more common across the league, and the Cowboys may follow that trend. It would not be surprising to see them take a back in the middle rounds, someone who can fit into the team's committee approach while also offering the potential for explosive plays. Let's not forget about the wide receiver group. With the emergence of CeeDee Lamb as a legitimate star, the Cowboys are in a good position at the top of the depth chart. However, the question remains, who will be the next playmaker to step up? Michael Gallup has shown flashes of brilliance, but his consistency has been an issue. There's potential to add a dynamic receiver who can stretch the field and take some of the pressure off Lamb. This would not only enhance the Cowboys' passing attack, but also open up more opportunities in the run game. A deep threat can help create space for both Prescott and the running backs, making the entire offense more difficult to defend. With the depth of the receiver class in 2024, it would not be surprising if the Cowboys added another weapon through the draft. Quarterback is another position that requires some attention. While Dak Prescott remains the unquestioned starter, the Cowboys have been actively looking for a backup quarterback who can provide insurance in case of injury. The team's front office has made it clear that they want to ensure they are prepared for any eventuality, and finding a reliable backup is critical. Whether they choose to go for a developmental prospect in the later rounds or a more experienced option in free agency, the Cowboys need to make sure they are covered at the most important position on the field. Special teams, though often overlooked, are another crucial aspect of the Cowboys roster. The team has seen its share of ups and downs in this area, but with a few tweaks and a focus on consistency, the special teams unit can provide the team with a significant edge. A good special teams group can shift momentum, flip the field, and even score points when the offense is struggling. The Cowboys would be wise to address this area during the draft, particularly in the later rounds, where special teams standouts can often be found. As we get closer to the draft, the speculation will only intensify. Every mock draft will have a different opinion. Every analyst will offer a unique perspective, but one thing is clear. The Cowboys have some important decisions to make. With so much talent available, they must stay focused on their long-term vision. It's not just about making a splash in the draft or going for the most popular pick. It's about finding the players who will fit into their system, players who will help elevate the Cowboys to that next level. The 2024 NFL Draft is a pivotal moment in the Cowboys' journey. As the team looks to improve and contend for a Super Bowl, every choice will matter. It's a thrilling time for the franchise and its fans, and the next few months will be crucial in shaping the future of America's team. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. A video emerged this week, leaving the sports world on edge and fans of the Dallas Cowboys reeling. Ezekiel Elliott, once the face of the franchise and a fan favorite, has broken his silence and launched a series of pointed criticisms against the organization that once defined his career. The video, which quickly went viral, shows a visibly frustrated Elliott unloading on his former team, raising more questions than answers and fueling speculation about his strained relationship with the Cowboys. What exactly went wrong? The answer might be more complicated than many expected. Elliott, who spent 8 seasons with Dallas, was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection and a key figure in the team's offense during his tenure. But his departure after the 2022 season, followed by a short stint with the New England Patriots, seemed to mark the beginning of a rift between the running back and the Cowboys. In the video, Elliott does not shy away from calling out management, hinting at dissatisfaction with how his career was handled, particularly in his final years with the team. "I gave everything to that franchise, but the respect I deserved was never returned," Elliott said, his voice tinged with bitterness. What stands out most from the video is Elliott's criticism of the Cowboys' front office, specifically their failure to adjust their offensive strategy around his skill set. "They didn't know how to use me in my prime," he claimed, referencing the years when he led the league in rushing yards and was considered one of the most dominant running backs in the NFL. "It was always about the next big thing, never about maximizing what we had in the moment," Elliott added, hinting at frustration with how the franchise has moved on from him despite his proven abilities. Elliott's words have sparked an immediate response from fans and analysts alike, many questioning how the Cowboys will handle the fallout. Some believe that this video marks the end of any hope of reconciliation between the player and the organization, while others wonder if Elliott's public outburst is part of a larger strategy to regain control of his narrative. The running back has since signed with the Los Angeles Chargers, leaving many to wonder what his future holds and if the Cowboys, once his family, are now officially in his rearview mirror. As more details of Elliott's comments are revealed, fans will be left waiting anxiously for further developments. Will the Cowboys respond to this public confrontation, or will they let the matter slide in the name of moving forward? One thing is certain: Ezekiel Elliott's critique has stirred up the NFL, leaving everyone wondering what truly happened behind the scenes at Dallas and whether the franchise missed a chance to honor a player who gave them everything. The answers may be far more complex than anyone realizes. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.